By forensic pathologist Dr. Priya Banerjee, who will help us get a better understanding of the science that goes into identifying those remains. So first, Dr. Banerjee, can you tell us exactly what kind of testing would need to be done?
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, this is complicated. So knowing that the body's not going to be in what I would call a normal condition, decomposition, environmental effects, all of that has to have really damaged the remains. And, we're now thinking it might be Mr. Laundrie, but again, it's very, very speculative at this point. So what needs to happen? They only identified it as a partial remains. And the big question that I have is whether the head is present or not. Because in that situation, you can use dental records to identify him. Otherwise, you'll probably have to go to DNA to do so. 1 to 2 days makes me think that potentially the head is present, because that's a pretty short turnaround time. Although, DNA technology these days is quite advanced as well.
You mentioned being underwater. These remains could be severely decomposed, and that could obviously compromise the kind of testing that needs to be done. If indeed DNA testing is used, do you know how long that process could take before we find out an identity?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I know it's come a long way. And, if anybody's going to have expedited technology, it's going to be the FBI. I'm hoping if it's 1 to 2 days, maybe it can be an alternate to DNA, such as dental. But, again, I'm not sure which route they're going to have to go. It's going to be challenging nonetheless, because there's no way this body is intact. Decomposition, animal activity, all of that's had to really, I would say, ruin the remains, if you will, and make it challenging both for ID and for cause of death purposes.
And really, that was my next question for you. Besides knowing who this deceased person was, how soon could we know a cause of death? In a case like this, does that take weeks, months?
So that, I think, is the actual more challenging aspect to this case. I don't know what they've recovered in terms of the body. And obviously they're going back when we discussed, like, there's a wide area that's cast for search today. I think what's happening is they don't know, body parts could have floated away or animals could have carried away. So what I think they're doing is trying to do an exhaustive search to gather all possible, elements of the body. Now, it's going to be extremely challenging, because when you have an incomplete puzzle, like a partial body, I don't know how accurately you really can say the cause of death. And to me, it may be unknown forever. I mean, I know my colleagues are going to work really hard, but again, there's so many variables that have taken place, and the longer time also makes it quite challenging. So, I think they'll use whatever technologies there, x-rays, looking, maybe a forensic anthropologist definitely has to be involved, and that can take time.
All right, Dr. Banerjee, thank you so much for your insights here. Appreciate it.